Old school plumbing tips for soldering the right way. Guys, look, I know a lot of you love to tell me, I suck at soldering. Okay, but I don't have leaks. These are old school skills that we still need to have. Getting up under a house, doing things the right way, whether you're building, whether you're repairing, it really doesn't matter. And today, I'm gonna jump in and show you how to make solder joints the right way that will not leak, okay? Let's jump in here and let's get going. Okay, now, I put my copper in, but the first thing I gotta do, of course, is get ready to where we do this safely. Now, solder, just like everything else, you wanna make sure you're doing things safe. Now, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut up a couple of pieces because I'm gonna put a coupling, I'm gonna turn a 90 up, and then I'm gonna put another coupling. That way I do horizontal and vertical joints to show you. So, I'm just gonna cut some random pieces here. We've got some pieces here, so really what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a piece here with the coupling, turn a 90 up, have a piece there, and then I'll have a coupling there. So all I need are these three pieces. I could have used my tubing cutters. I could have used just the wheel cutters, anything at all like this. And all these are great, but of course, when you're trying to do things in a hurry, you're trying to do things the way you would do it out in the field, you want something that will speed up the process a lot. And a lot of plumbers are going to these because they help you save time. And I completely get that. So the first thing I'm gonna look at is I need some sandpaper, I need some wire brushes, I'm gonna grab a 90, and I'm gonna grab a couple of couplings, and I'm gonna show you the difference here. Because the couplings that I've got these here that don't have a stop in them, okay? So these are repair couplings, and these really do come in great. If I've got a piece of copper here that I can't pull apart because, say it's in a wall, and there's a 90 over here, it's up against a stud, there's a 90 going down, it's up against a stud, I can't pull this apart, but I need to put this together. If I can slide this to the side, I can take a repair coupling and slide it down onto the copper. And then I can get it back where I want it and then slide it back. So I take the repair coupling, and these other ones here, they've got a little dimple in them, so they've got to stop. Some have a dimple, some have a full-blown ring in the middle, but the ones that don't, after you get it clean, now, I love making sure that the outside is beveled and the inside is ringed. Now, this is one big step that a lot of plumbers, well, I hate to say it, but they'll skip over it. And the reason that you want to do that is the turbulence of the water. If you don't ream it, that water inside gets very turbulent, and what it does, it doesn't create that good, smooth laminar flow. And the turbulence in the water will actually eat the copper from the inside. Look, water can eat away a mountain and make a canyon. So you want to make sure that you're reaming the inside and beveling the outside. And luckily, I learned from some good plumbers, so this is something I've been doing for a long time. Now, I still like the open mesh abrasive cloth. But there are times that I'll use the wire brush on these fitting brushes. Now, when I use these, I like to go the same direction. That way it keeps the wires from getting soft going back and forth. Now, on these, I'm not going to use the repair couplings. I'm not going to use the non-stop couplings. I'm just going to use the regular ones that have the stop in them. And sometimes you got to grab your little mini adjustable pliers to hold them, because if you got your gloves on, it may not work right. All right, may just slide around a lot. It's kind of hard to hold that little bitty deal like that with these gloves on. Now, there's a lot of times too, if I'm doing a ton of work, if I'm running a lot of pipe and I'm doing a lot of fittings, I'll pull out a wire brush, put it in my cordless, and clean a ton of fittings at one time. Or to be honest, I'll probably have my apprentice do that. And I've had a lot of plumbers tell me that if they get a brand new fitting like this that looks clean, they won't clean it. I don't agree with that. I'm really big. I want to see the brush marks on the inside. I want to see that it's good and clean. I know it's not dirty, but there could be just enough oxidation in there that it messes up the solder joint. And guys, the things I'm telling you are things that I've done for years, and we do it all for a reason. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and clean the end of this too. Now, what we're using is no corrode, paste flux, regular paste. I've got the same thing here. Already had one open, so I'm not gonna open another one. But I've got my pipe clean. I've got it done, and I'm gonna see a little bitty brown spot right there, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean that one more time right there. The oxidation on the pipe really is what a lot of people don't get all the way off, and it can lead to problems. So just seeing that little bitty spot on there, I'm like, I want to go ahead and get that cleaned off. And then I want you to look at me when I put the flux on. I don't put a lot on. I literally just want a very thin layer on it, and the same thing inside the fitting. It doesn't take much. And I've seen, well, not just seen, when I was younger, I would just gob flux in it because I thought, hey, this is what we're doing here. As you see, I'm really not putting much on here. All right, so right here's what we're trying to solder. Now, say that I was trying to put this at a 45 or something, or say I was trying to run it horizontal. There's a couple of different things that I could do here. If it was a little higher up, I could take my tape measure, and as you see, I've got a spot down here, I've got a spot up here. I could set it up to hold it like that, put a level on it, and say, hey, you know what? That's pretty good. I can do it just like that. But one thing that we used to do in the field is take your adjustable pliers here, get them up to about where you think that it's going to be, roll them a little bit, and then just put just a little bit of squeeze on the couplings and the 90s. Anything that can keep it from turning. See, now it kind of holds right there. So I tighten it up just a little bit more. And I'm doing this with my little ones. I should probably grab my bigger ones. And you don't want to oblong it. You don't want to do anything crazy. You're just trying to put just enough of a squeeze on it that it tightens up that coupling. That way, whenever you line it up, it'll stay right where you want it. Now, I prefer to have something that I can set it on, that I can adjust it with. And if I'm running a lot of lines at the same elevation, I may have me a little jig built that I can set it on that's got like a little V-jack on it to line everything up and set it just the way I want it. Now, I've made that before with copper and fittings to where maybe I'll make a T at the bottom, that way it'll set and hold it, and then at the top, I'll take a 3/8 rod and nut and maybe a half of a standoff clamp and build a jig, that way I can adjust the nut and get it exactly the way that I want it. So I love doing stuff like that, but as you see, by squeezing the fittings just a little bit, I've got it lined up just like I want it. Now, if I wanted to solder this, I would heat up the pipe first, not the fittings. And I want to heat up the pipe because I want it to swell. I want it to push out on that fitting. That way it doesn't try to slip and fall. A lot of times if I just apply heat here, even though I've squeezed it a little bit, the fitting will get big enough that it'll allow it to relax and fall. But what we're going to do for this video today is we're going to solder a horizontal and a vertical joint and make sure that I've got all my letters lined up the way that I want them. So like I told y'all, the way that I solder, guys, I want to add heat to the pipe first. because I want the pipe to expand. I don't want to create a gap and then try and shove solder in there. So I heat up the pipe a little bit, then come to the fitting, because at the end of the day, I want capillary action to happen. I want the heat to draw that solder into the middle. So I'll heat up the pipe, then I'll make my joint. Then with this pipe already hot, I can make this one. The vertical, I don't necessarily worry about. I may heat it up a little bit just to expand the pipe, but I don't want it to roll. I don't want it to get loose. So we're gonna jump in here. We're gonna make a solder joint real quick. And if you noticed, I wiped off any excess flux that I had. And the reason that I did that, I don't want to give the solder a reason to run down the copper or anything. So I'll wipe off any extra. And of course, we're using lead free because this would be for a water line. Now, I like going in line. Now, there's another reason why I want to start down here. Heat rises. So as I'm heating this way, it's already moving down here. So when I heat this up enough to make this solder joint, this is already warm. This is already expanding. When I heat this and this, the heat's already rising. It makes everything flow. It makes everything go through a lot easier process. Okay, now before we get started, we're gonna put down our fire protection. Now, I really don't think that I'm gonna burn my table, although I have. Sometimes we do it on purpose. But I also wanna catch any solder. I don't wanna leave a mess. If I'm soldering on top of the water here, I'll put rags down, I'll put something down because I don't wanna leave a mess there. Okay, now here I'm doing a vertical joint, so I know my pipe's hot. I could touch it and see, but trust me, I know. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna worry about heating the pipe. I'm gonna heat the coupling, and then I'm gonna feed the bottom first. Now, there's gonna be a lot of y'all that say, well, you know, you put too much solder in, you let it run, you let it do this. Okay. I'd rather have too much solder and know it's not gonna leak. Now, I do wanna clean that up. Now, there's a lot of plumbers out there too that say, look, I never wipe a joint. I don't want joints to have a big bead of solder on it like that. I know gravity, it is what it is. And if it's just a little bitty one, I may leave it. But to be honest, guys, I just want it to not leak. That's the whole purpose of soldering. It's not to make it look beautiful. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with this. This is not an ugly joint or anything like that. I didn't use too much solder. I sure didn't use too much flux. And the good thing is, this joint won't leak. And when you get good at soldering, you learn to feel that solder melt. Now you see sometimes I reach up and touch it. I know it's not ready yet, but I also want to know that I've got, and if you see the way I bend my solder, I like knowing that way I can use this finger to push to do different things. But what I can do is heat it up, I can touch it. I know it's not ready yet, but now when I start seeing that flux boiling, when I know it's ready, then I know I can go in, I've got everything set just the way I want it, and I'm good. Now, if you look at it, man, it really doesn't look bad. I had a little bit of solder run down here, that's fine. I wiped it off so I didn't leave that big mess. The copper's warm way back here. Just grabbing it, I felt it through the glove. But when you look at this, that doesn't look too bad. It's not a big, ugly pile of chicken crap or anything like that. And if you look at it, I've got good solder penetration all the way around. Now, one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to grab a rag of cold water and just throw it on here and let it cool down real quick. Guys, that will cause cracks in your solder joint because it doesn't cool at the same slow rate. If you look around all these, they look fantastic. You can see solder all the way around everything. I'm not worried about it. I can come back to this in 10 minutes or so, turn the water on, and it's good. Now, I have made that mistake. You get in a hurry. I remember running a water manifold in Dallas. I was up in Republic Tower, and we had a valve isolating each floor. And I'd literally gone through, I made my last joint, and it was on the cap on the toilet stub out. And I'm sitting on a 5-gallon bucket right in front of it. And I looked over and the valve's right there, and literally just finished making the joint, set everything up. I saw the valve, I thought, oh, I'm trying to turn it on, and the cap shut off and drowned me. I know better, but the solder was still wet. The solder had not cured. It had not gotten hard. Guys, this is the right way to make a solder joint. Now, if you do want to come back later and clean this, I've seen people do this a lot. They'll come in, they'll spray it down, they'll wipe every joint to get any additional flux off. Now, if you notice me, I wipe it beforehand. I want to get the flux off even before I do my solder joint because I just don't want a lot of extra on there. And guys, at the end of the day, this is the right way to solder. This is the way that I was taught, and I've done it for years. And guys, believe it or not, I don't have leaks on water lines, especially when it comes to brazing, but y'all really don't want to hear about my brazing. So anyway, if you do anything different, do me a favor, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Do you do things different? And you may. We don't all do it the same way. But this is the way I was taught, and I think that I was taught from some pretty good plumbers. And those of y'all that are members, hang around and see what we got here for you. And if you like this video, definitely think you're gonna like that one. Whatever you're doing out there today, stay safe and hit it effing hard.